Good morning, everybody. My name is DJ Seith. And this is the CC Show.
Let's begin.
Now this musical might be new to you, and you might find this is slightly unusual. We're not a band of 6, 5, 4, or we're just a slick live DJ and a raw MC. I'm the MC who created the verse, but let me introduce to you who's making this work. And then the gents go second, so I would like to mention this lady on the record. Lisa G taking over your frequency, AM, FM, satellite, always sounding nice. Down a slice precise when she rip it up, then she stitch it up for the DJs that need to zip it up. I mean, I'm right already. Should be your worst nightmare when she slice like Freddy. Baby Jason Mace, tremble from the trembling. And yo, it's on when she step into place. When she open up the case and she take out the mixer. Haters wanna diss her, spectators whisper. Is she the real thing? Like, is she that? Now there's a bash in the woods. I think you know the answer. Dope cut program, a flow with stamina. You better hold your camera to catch the action. Backspinning, attaching, scratch patterns when Max is rapping. And oh yeah, that's me. M-Tribe, as fly as can be. You know, a live MC. Who you desire to be. Cold chilling like a villain, but supplying the heat. The party people in the place, Rossi. See, this is a celebration of elevation and dedication for a better nation with education to end the hatred. It's not only a statement to keep you solely motivated, but hopefully you would take this as an open invitation with no limitation or division to limit division. Oh, wisdom of the living before I finish my mission. I'ma give them different to show that we're similar. Cause you can catch more flies for honey than a figure. And speaking of fly honeys, Lisa gotta be first. On point like the steeple on the top of a church. She drops the heel on the record when I'm rocking a verse. And this is how a DJ and MC properly works. So I know that your cues to just show them what a DJ, show them what a DJ, show them what a DJ's supposed to do. Get busy up. Get busy up. How you get busy? Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this.
How's everybody doing this morning? Once again, my name is DJ Seith. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today's special guests are Jessa Nisbett, Chandra Barnett, St. James, aka Steve Bonifero, and Vov Abraxas. We are talking influences today, my influences and my inspirations. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll bring everybody in here. And let's get this show started. All right, Cece, take over.
All right. Good morning. Today is Saturday, September 19th. I hope everyone's doing well. Sweater weather here in Boating. Just before we get started, I did want to do a land acknowledgement. I'm so proud to be from Boating, from Sault Ste. Marie, downtown Sault Ste. Marie. It's a very special place. It's right in the middle of all the Great Lakes, which is the largest freshwater body in the world. So we as the people here have a very special responsibility to protect those lands and those waters. So shout out to that, because water is life. Sault Ste. Marie or Boating is surrounded by Garden River, Batchewana, and Minisinabe Cree First Nations. So we have many folks here. It's the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. We also have Cree and settler folks here, as well as folks from all over the world, because it's a beautiful place to live. It is the home of the former Shingwak Residential School. So it's just really important to recognize like the land, the peoples, and the history of the territory that we live in, because it's a very beautiful place, and we have that special responsibility. So thank you all for gathering here virtually, but from that territory. Vov, later, if you wanted to talk a little bit about your territory, that's cool too, because you're calling in from a different area. And yeah, I'm just so excited to have our special guests here today. This is a show about DJ Seith, Shane Erickson, who's been a huge inspiration of mine. And when we talked about this topic, Shane wanted to bring on folks that inspired him. So Jessa, Vov, Chandra, and Steve hold a special place for Shane in his heart, and I'm so excited to have you here today. I'd like to hear a little bit about you. I'm not sure who wants to go first. I will pick somebody if it goes too silent for too long, though. And then we'll just kind of pass the ball. I'd love to hear about you, where you're from, what you believe in, maybe how you met Shane. Is there anything you wanted to add, Shane, before someone picks up that ball?
Yeah, I'm just very excited and glad to have so many beautiful faces and friends together this morning. And yeah, I'm just, I was a little bit nervous going in on this episode, but now that I'm here, I feel so much better and so warm, and I don't know, it's just full of love, and super happy to have everybody here. So excited to get started.
Yes. Good morning. All right, whoever's interested in introducing themselves first can take that mic, and we'll go from there.
I can give it a shot. My name's Steve Bonifero. Go by St. James when we're DJ Seith and myself are performing as Planet Rock. It's an honor to be here. Cece, thanks so much with the whole panel. Everyone, we got to know each other a little bit just beforehand, and everyone seems pretty awesome. So I'm living in Sault Ste. Marie, Boating, as Cece mentioned, and I am originally from London, Ontario, and went to school in Thunder Bay for a little bit, where I met my current wife, who is originally from Edmonton, and we have 2 kids. We're living currently in central Sault Ste. Marie, and Seith and I met actually through work. His work did something with my work, and then I was sitting. I'm about getting close to 5 years sober, and it was about a month after I stopped drinking. I was sitting at a friend's house in a garage, just listening to music, and I hadn't really started writing at that time. And the tech guy from my work walks in, and he's got records, and apparently he's this DJ Seith that I've been hearing so much about from my friends and the people in the city, and that. So we kind of struck up a friendship at that point, and we really seemed to similar sensibilities, as with approaches to life as well as creativity and music, which we'll get into a little bit at some point here. So yeah, that kind of sums it up in terms of how Seith and I developed a relationship. And buddy, this means we're going on our 5-year anniversary sometime soon.
Oh, that's true.
This is pretty awesome, man. Yeah, we're getting there. We're going gray, if you can see the beard here.
Yeah, I got a few in the back.
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. Welcome, Steve. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
I think Chandra unmuted.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, so I'm Chandra, and I cannot say where Seith and I met. It would have to be a number of years ago, many years ago. Mm-hmm. I know that we go back as far as YSI and further.
We definitely go further than YSI, I know that much.
Yeah, because we performed together so long ago when I was still performing as Lil Pip.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think I want to say that was either 2011 or 2010. Might have been that far ago. But
yeah, because my babies were babies.
They were.
Yeah. So I was born in Sault Ste. Marie, and I moved to Thunder Bay, where I grew up, and went to high school with Vov, who I still hold very dear to my heart. I have many of his CDs that he made and mailed to me. He sent them in the mail, and I still have those, like a whole stack of them. If y'all ever want to listen, we could have like a whole listening party.
Yes, please.
Yes, I can bring them to you.
I would love that.
And then I moved from Thunder Bay to Montreal, where I spent a lot of time in a very active art scene, of course, in Montreal. And I think it was a huge influence. And then I moved back home and had 2 babies. And I've been here ever since, infecting the Sioux with my wonderful energy. And I'm so excited to be here. And I didn't really realize that I was such an influence on Seith, and it kind of made my heart flutter. So I'm emotional. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here. You are most definitely an influence on me.
And your energy is certainly wonderful, and I'm certainly just grateful to have you in the community also. Thank you for coming. Who's next? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
It's the new moon, I think. I think it's the new moon. So we're all pretty emotional, I think. I know I am. I'm Vov. I met Seith at what might be my last show. It was on my birthday, which is a leap year. It happened this year, right before the plague. And and he kept in touch. He was really nice, so I kept on talking to him, and we're friends. I don't know how. I make music, also visual arts and video stuff. And I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. Yeah, I'm so glad to have Vov on the show. Yeah, we literally met earlier this year, right before the whole plague hit the world, and I was so blessed to be able to see what turned out to be his last show, and I really hope that isn't the case going forward, that we're able to kind of get back to doing shows together, because his show is so inspiring to me, and it was just like, like the amount of creativity and what's the word? I'm just getting all flustered right now. It was just really like a spark of like, childlike wonder in his music, and I was just like, oh my God, I totally, like, my heart went out, right, and just splattered all over the floor, and I was just like, yes, this is amazing. I
really appreciate that. Like, yeah. On my end, it felt like such a gamble, like a coin flip, like this could go either way, like the subject matter of my music, and the attitude, like the playful attitude, like it felt like a serious show that I was walking into with this stuff, and I was really frightened, but at the same time, evil giraffe, I have to represent.
I really need to speak to Vov Abraxas right now, because I remember him in high school walking around, and he was rapping even then in grade 10, grade 9, all the time. It was all the time. He had so much creativity. It was just bursting out of him all the time. And the way Seith just described you is exactly it. Such energy and innocence and this vulnerability, and it's always been there. And you are a remarkable artist. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
This is exactly what I was hoping the show was going to be. This is everything I wanted to be and more.
So much warm fuzzy. I'm feeling it with my tea.
Mhm.
Jessa, let's hear about you.
My name's Jessa Nisbett. I'm a 38-year-old, a very open transgender woman. I met Shane when I was a teenager. And so my friends and I were like goth kind of kids. And we were goth kids, but we were really into like different kinds of music. And we threw a lot of parties because my friend had a house and his mom was never there. So we basically had free range of this house. So we threw parties all the time. And my friend Dave had brought invited Shane over because Shane was into music. And back then, none of us had like DJ equipment or anything. We just had like a computer, and Shane would literally bring over a hard drive filled with music and hook it up to our computer, and we would like DJ from Winamp
Yeah.
back in the day. I don't even know how old I was. I maybe like 16 or 17 at the time. But it was so great because he was so he felt so strongly about music, and I felt so strongly about music as well. So having someone else come in and take over and play different music than what we had historically been listening to just was amazing. And then over the years, Shane continued to be kind of a part. Like whenever we had a party, or if there was a birthday, or an event, if we threw an event, he would come and be a part of it. And it was so amazing to always have him there. And it was always different music because we listened to a lot of maybe not so hip hop stuff. So having Shane come in and expose us to new and old music was really amazing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm kind of nervous.
Thank you for this, Jessa. I really appreciate it. Like, I remember too, like going back then, and like it was really a music share in all directions. Like you guys were exposing me to just as much. You know what I mean? Like I learned about all kinds of different music through you guys, and the friendships that we've kind of kept over the years. Like they're so valuable to me, and I'm so glad to still be able to have you guys in my life, and to be able to keep in contact and everything like that. So it's beautiful, like to kind of like look back and see what we've kind of done over all these years, and how far we've come, and what kind of people we've evolved into. And so, yeah, I'm super happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I'm taking 1 minute to talk about how I know Seith. So Seith, when I was like a little kid, just wandering the streets, like, being unattended, we would see the New York show posters on Queen Street. And I was talking before we jumped on the call about how I would like rip them down and bring them to my friends in Jamestown and be like, oh, we got to go to this show. Like, it's a hip hop show. So I knew of Seith, I guess, from that, but I didn't really I was young, so I didn't understand that you were like creating a movement, or what New York was, or like why it was hosted. I just like knew that dope hip hop music would play, and you would go there and you could watch people break dance. So that was cool because you were holding safe space when I was a youth, before I even like understood really what that was. Like, you were before your time with that, like hosting those like gatherings around music and space, and everybody welcome, and pay what you can, like kind of like the pioneer for some of those thoughts, right? And then fast forward later, went to college, went to university, started being like a community organizer, and had a youth organization that I am like a co-founder with, Youth Odana. And Seith would started coming out to the safe spaces that we tried to create, and he would bring all his sound equipment, like you were saying, Jessa. He'd show up with all his equipment, because we don't have any of that, and big speakers, and with the records, and the system to spin and scratch and entertain us all, and be that sound. From when, now I've gotten some funding and stuff, but then we had no money. We would just like ask an organization, can we have your space? Ask Seith, can you bring the sound? And like somebody would make a poster, right? And we did that for years, and now, things have really developed, and we're able to have like larger, you know, more organized events. But Seith was coming out from when it was just like nothing and just a bunch of kids who wanted, you know, do something for younger youth. So I appreciate you, Seith, because there's like a whole 360 of that when you were, you know, creating the space for me when I was a youth, and then now we're peers and we're creating space for other people too. So it's amazing. At that, I will pass the mic, because now we're into the question portion.
We are into the question portion. Well, thank you very much for those kind words, Cece. You know, like when you put it in those words, I think back about it, and I didn't even have a concept of what like safe space was. I was just thinking like, I want to make this like a place where people can come and, you know, be their true selves, like do whatever craft it is or art that it is that they want to do in the way that they want to do it, and not feel afraid to kind of fall on your face because everybody else is doing the same thing and we're just, you know, trying to figure it out. We're not, you know, creating this whole, oh, you got to entertain an audience. No, we're all kind of coming together as a family. I didn't even know that was a safe space at the time, though. I was just kind of like, let's do it this way, because like, you know, there's a lot of people that don't really have that ability to kind of like get onto a stage, and just like there's this assumption that when you start creating you can just get on a stage and like do it and know what you're doing, but like no, you gotta have practice with that, you know. And like a lot of people in that in like the hip-hop world, you know, they don't get that practice. They don't necessarily have, some people don't have access to a garage or to a sound system or to any of that kind of stuff. So make it available, give them the chance to get on it and do it. And okay, I figured this out, so the next month I can do it a little bit differently, or maybe change this and keep this the same, whatever, you know, those cogs turning. Anyway, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, let's get into the questions. I wanted to start by asking Jessa. Jessa, why is DJing important to you as a tool of understanding and connection?
Okay, well, let me first start by saying that you know, it was because of you that I really got into DJing. Like I used to do the like Winamp DJing, but watching you over the years, and even though we do completely different types of music and a different style, you know, you are the inspiration for me getting into DJing. Just watching you do it, watching you entertain an audience, that you know, that really got me into doing it. What it means, like what it means to me, and what DJing is, it's like, you know, when you used to take bus rides, right? And you used to have headphones on, yeah, and you had this like awesome playlist, and you turn it up loud, hoping that other people would hear it. But you'd be like, I hope they kind of like the music that I'm listening to. DJing to me is a lot like that. It's like, I have this really awesome music that I really want people to hear and for people to feel. And it's just taking that headphone situation and amping it up to another level where people actually want to hear what you're listening to, rather than being on the bus where they may not. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you know, the connection, seeing the connection that people have to that music that you selected, that you go through and you feel so strongly about that music, and then you get to play it and you get to mix it and you get to, you know, add your own take on it and see people react to it. And that's really, you know, it brings all those people together. You have people on the dance floor and they're all dancing together and they're all in like a great mood. And it's just like, there's no other feeling, you know, and you're, as a DJ, you're kind of in charge of that happening, and it's just a fantastic feeling.
That's really well put. I like the idea of you know, kind of bringing people together to connect over music, because that's oftentimes where we do all of our connection. There's always music involved in some way or another when you're making a really deep connection, you know, like whether it's going on in your head or whether it's happening in the background at a restaurant or at an event where there's somebody DJing, you know, like, you know, music's everywhere. And you know, I think that oftentimes sometimes I find people don't necessarily realize how much of a role it actually plays in these kind of connections, and it's good, right, exactly, you know, to see. Yeah. That's really well put. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next question here, which is, Chandra, how does your art intersect with your life experiences?
It's a big question. That's what I thought when I read it. And well, first of all, I don't think I've ever really thought about DJing in this way. of this recreation, right, of taking music, so something that already exists, yes, and then putting it together and sort of mixing it up to create something new. And I really like that because that's something that I do in my art. I do a lot of collage work, and that's the whole basis of it, is taking something that already exists and putting it together and mixing it up and making something new. And I find that borrowing from work of other people can really help lift you up. So my art intersects with my life infinitely. It just, they're always intermingling somehow. Even more recently, I had an eye injury while I was working on my car. And I had already started planning how I would continue my career as an artist with only vision in one eye. So I would do my work with, my bad eye on one side of the canvas or whatever. And then I would cover my bad eye and continue the other half with the good eye. And then you would have my vision, right? So I'd already planned that. Luckily, I haven't lost any vision. But I think that my entire life, I've always been a creative person, and I've always had trouble connecting with people. And it makes me wonder, and I think I never considered this until more recently. I'm 36 now, so I've been making art for, let's say, 32 years. That I use it to connect with people, just like DJing. It is, and bringing people together to come together because they understand something. It brings them together because they unite on that level somehow. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah, absolutely.
And in them uniting on that level means that they understand something about me. Mm-hmm. And that way we can connect. So yeah, I mean, I did art classes all through high school, and I had planned to go to art school, which never happened, but it didn't stop me from pursuing a life of art. And, later in life, I was diagnosed with some mental health conditions. And instead of just like closing up and curling up and never working again, I just use it to influence my art, because it's just my thoughts on the page. And now maybe I can connect with someone through that instead of just remaining isolated. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely lots of intersection there.
Absolutely, yeah. The one thing that I think about too when I look at your art and even your photography and everything is that it kind of almost takes on a life of its own. It's a reflection of the artist, but it's also, once it's been created and put out into the world, doing its own work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like you were talking about how your art is an opportunity for you to be able to make connections to others. I feel like just as much your art is also an opportunity for people to make connections to each other that are experiencing your art too. Like that, it's its own entity. It's like a living, you know what I mean? A living being almost, that's just kind of like working its own magic that, and being thankful to its creator, right? And taking its creator's work forward and continuing, right? Yeah. So
And I think with the advent of the internet and social media and being able to like share it a little bit further and make further connection is kind of amazing. And it's made it possible for me to be influenced by other artists and elevate my own work. And I don't know, it's just really an amazing thing. But even like my children have influenced my art. You know, I became a mom, so my art became sort of child-centric, but in a really creative kind of weird way. So yeah, I think I just follow my life with my art and I always put my own kind of weirdo spin on things.
And I love every bit of it.
I didn't really realize you had thought about my work at all.
I do, yeah. Absolutely, I do.
Surprise.
Not only that, but also, yeah, surprise. The work of your children, too. I think I have some of your children's work as well, too. From there was a thing that happened a while back somewhere where there were a whole bunch of different like tables, and you guys were selling some art and photography. I bought a copy of that photo that you took of everybody in the animal masks, which I love that. That's just like... Yeah. When I saw that, it floored me. And
there's only a few copies of that in circulation. So.
Yeah. I'm very, very grateful to have one of those. So.
But yeah, my daughter's an artist. She'll be tabling this weekend, actually, at the market in the parking lot behind Shabby.
Oh, that's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, cool.
And she's got some really beautiful pieces ready. Her art is elevating, too, as she's getting older. So.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Helping support Coach K?
I don't think so.
There's one of those coming up too, yeah.
Okay.
Firefire's been doing like really awesome. Oh, it's that one's Shabby. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shabby. That's
awesome
okay.
pop-ups happening. Sorry.
Anyhow, I'm very proud of my kids, and I think that my influence on them to pursue creativity and not be afraid of it and not shy away from trying or trusting that they are allowed to be creative, that those creative ideas, you're allowed to make room for those in your life, right? They're just as important as homework, you know, or school or friends. You know, pursuing this creative endeavor deserves focus and attention.
Absolutely.
You're a powerhouse, Chandra. I've always looked up to you.
Oh, thanks, pal.
Right on. Yeah, it's super inspiring to see how you're able to make space for your children to be creative as well, too. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I feel so inspired by you in the first place is because, you know, like I've always struggled with the concept of, you know, being a father or even being an uncle or being like, you know, anything like that. And I am an uncle now to 3 beautiful children. And I'm always trying to think of ways that I can make space for them to be creative too, with whatever, you know, influence I have as an uncle to allow for them to be like, hey, you know what, you can be creative, you can do your thing. And yeah, that's just, that's beautiful. I take much inspiration from you in the way that you're bringing the kids up and keeping art in the mix and everything like that. And it's beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially since schools don't do it.
That's true.
Right? They don't do art in school. And kids aren't really exposed to that. And there's so much technology. There's not a lot of hands-on activity. So it's really important, I think, for families and friends and communities, right? Entire communities to offer children these opportunities. So I'm glad that we're sort of all banding together to do that, because it's not just me and it's not just you, Seith. There are all kinds of community members who do engage with children and who do give those spaces to pursue those ideas. My friend Melissa, she hosts like a sewing circle for kids, and they make like weird little monsters, and it's so fun and so cute. It happens during the Fishbowl Festival, and it's really a wonderful event and always very well attended.
Right on. Okay, so I would like to move on to the next question, and this one here is for St. James, or Steve. Steve, what is your creative process, and what influences it?
Once again, a big question from DJ Seith. So I had a bit of a difficult time because creative processes, I mean, as Chandra was saying, the overlap between life and art can kind of be like that Venn diagram is just a circle. You know what I mean? Like it's basically the same thing, and it's it can be tough to parse, but the process itself, it goes to the catalyst for it has to be what we were talking about before, which is the safe spaces. When we're in that garage, a block away from my house, that was just a friend's house that he had access to, and it was a musical place where people could get together, and there's speakers and there's microphones, and other people are doing their music. I wouldn't have started writing, I don't think, if it wasn't for that place to be just, you know what I mean? Hey, let me give that a shot. And for me, it was always lyricism, because that's what I do. I write lyrics to DJ Seith's banging beats. So thanks, DJ Seith. You're remarkable. And the lyrics or rhyming and music has always been kind of in my head. It's been a part of me. So when I heard Alphabet Aerobics by Gift of Gab, Black Alicious, the first time, I knew hip hop and I knew rap because of, DMX and Cash Money and No Limit Records and these sorts of guys, but I didn't know hip hop and how lyricism could be used as this beautiful, creative expression. So Alphabet Aerobics, the concept of the song is using A for a bar, like all A's. So it's alliteration all the way through, and then B's all the way through, and C's all the way through. And it's a remarkable accomplishment, right? So it really kind of blew my mind. And then I started to get into more of that kind of hip hop, where it was, it's referred to as underground or conscious hip hop. Really, it's just welcoming, inclusive music, which is what really drew me in. So I'd start to hear, I'd hear a sentence somewhere, and my brain would start to rhyme with it automatically, right? So I'd always been kind of practicing for being a lyricist without kind of knowing it, because I didn't have the confidence, to be honest. There's a lot of imposter syndrome when I hear other people who are so ingrained in their endeavors, their art. I feel like I haven't been doing it that long, in a sense, and you know what I mean? But it really has been something that's been percolating, like everything in life. It's very, holistic, and I've been working on it, quote unquote, for a long time. But that safe space allowed me to actually use it as an outlet, compose some lyrics, get positive feedback from really good people, really kind and encouraging people that, like Seith, for example, amongst other guys guys and girls who were there, you know what I mean? It was, that was, like I say, the catalyst for me having a creative outlet. So when Seith and I started to actually get together and do some songs together, it started off with one concept that we do some back and forth. I do a little bit of emceeing, so I'd write a bar, some lyrics, and then DJ Seith would come in with some samples, right? So we'd be rhyming back and forth between samples and emceeing, which is something that we're still working on to this day. But in the meantime, always in progress. But in the meantime, we've come up with a number, basically a performance, you know what I mean? A show that we could put on and make people hopefully feel inclusive. Now, in terms of the creative process itself, it's kind of like a puzzle to me, I suppose. I was originally thinking that it was more of a creating something from nothing, right? You got a blank piece of paper and you're creating something from nothing. Now, when Chandra mentioned that, you know what I mean, everything is kind of, you know what I mean? There's different ways to do it, of course. So DJ Seith, he's using samples from different albums and then putting the puzzle together and making something new. I had the concept of something from nothing, but really that's a micro concept. All the things that are in my head that are, you know what I mean? That all these lyrics, if you will, or these concepts that I want to get out, it's from intaking other art and other music and other ideas and other perspectives and that, right? So in the micro sense, you are literally like looking at a blank page and creating something from that blank page. And then it is remarkable to see it go through the process of, a puzzle where you have one bar and then you need to, substitute a word or think of a better word. And the amazing thing about poetry, in my opinion, is the way that you can use language. So there's different, consonants some of them are harder and some of them are softer, and you can play with those sounds to make it really hit in terms of the music itself. And that's fun because it really is a puzzle trying to, make it sound as appealing to you, to your coworker, your co-conspirator, and then hopefully the people who are intaking it when you're on stage and that, right? And as well with the creative process with Seith in particular, a lot's been spoken of kind of how to make a level of comfort and then continue to proceed and create and come up with things that really are that haven't been done before, but are of the same nature and sentiment of positivity that you want to kind of express in the world, and inclusivity, like I keep saying, right? So the other thing about hip hop is that there is a level of braggadocio with it, which is inherent to the culture of hip hop, where it could be used a little bit as a crutch because it's just something to talk about. I'm the best, and but nonetheless, there's an element of it. So, right. So, but there's definitely an element of that, and what I learned from an artist called Aesop Rock, who's somebody that I really look up to in terms of his poetic abilities. He started to talk about how he's not using the word I or you. It's we or us, you know what I mean? And it is just changing that, I've noticed, in terms of a couple words allows for more accessibility to the music, you know what I mean? As opposed to being me and you separate. And that really, I internalized that. So there's all these sorts of fascinating aspects to living and taking things in that will then just simply come out in the music and the way that you know what I mean, formulate things essentially. So
absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to touch on really quickly, and I'm sorry to keep going on, but this is awesome because creative process is like, life. So it's the spice of life. I heard, and I don't know who it was. If I was smarter, I'd know who said it, but where there's no input, there's no output. You know what I mean? And that to me is huge. And it could be input in terms of, like, I'll listen to Charlie Tuna and Latif and Latif the Truth Speaker and Lyrics Board and Gift of Gab and these guys, and I'll feel like I want to write, you know what I mean? But if I'm not inputting the things around me, my community, the world at large, history, all these things, then I don't, what am I going to output? You know what I mean? I don't have much to contribute that's actually of value in a sense. So you can use those items, those things to then, like I say, have the output and know when you're being either subversive, you know what I mean? So in one of my lyrics, there's a concept amongst certain individuals that, excuse my language, but fuck your feelings, right? And that comes from a certain element of people to a large degree. But as I kind of assess that in my own mind, I'm thinking that their xenophobia and racism and that sort of thing comes from feelings, you know what I mean? So being subversive, using that kind of term that I know that is used against positive people, essentially, so fuck your feelings, because we rely on reason and concede that the victor is narrating the teachings, you know what I mean? So there's an element of subversion, but you can't get that without intaking the history of what we're living in, essentially. So that's a huge element of the creative process, and I'm surrounded by people that, God bless you guys, foster and allow for that sort of sentiment. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So I think I've spoken enough. I'm sorry to go on.
No, that's really good. I like how you touch on subversion in poetry. I mean, there's definitely this subversion is everywhere in poetry, and it really is kind of like I've always looked at it as a way of remixing, whatever language it is that's being used. Like the language being this kind of standardized big, whatever, brick wall kind of thing, and then you're kind of taking some bricks out, maybe painting them a little bit differently, putting them back in while nobody's looking, kind of thing. Like, yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting. Maybe painting.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And a shout out to Propagandhi. They're an old Canadian punk band. They have an album called Less Talk, More Rock. And talk about subversion. If you read the lyrics, listen to the album, oh my God, it is remarkable.
Oh my God.
I highly recommend it.
I love saying that. Oh my God. Oh my God. You need to listen to this thing. Oh my God.
It's amazing.
Lovely. Thank you so much, St. James. That was a beautiful, beautiful sentiment that you shared with all of us there. And thank you for allowing us to get into your creative process a little bit there. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Oh, okay, it's 11:15. All right. Vov, I would like to ask you the next question. My question for you is, what inspires your work and what are your hopes for the future? So it's kind of a two-part question.
I was nervous, so I jotted down a cue card and bullet points, and I will read them now. These are some things that inspire me. Silence, ducks, cartoons, space, humans, language, or languages, different cultures, the internet, technology in general, video games, 80s bad guys in movies. At this point, I'm getting into specifics of like what I've actually written songs about. Cats, dogs, foxes, fog, ghosts, family, art history, Japanese pop culture in the 80s, specifically the Famicom, and then when we lean into the 90s, we get into the Batsus, which is punishment game. If you like, there's game shows out in Japan like where like if a person like loses a bet, they get like punished with a game, like, and then that becomes the thing.
I kind of want to just talk about Batsus now.
It's so hilarious.
They're so
good. And for the second part, it was actually pretty easy to answer that for me. I want to be allowed to grow old and soft and evolve into an asset to the community. I want to have a legacy of love and healing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I want to be beloved when I leave. You know, I want to be missed. I don't want to be one of those. Screw that guy.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely don't think anybody's going to be saying "screw that guy" when you are older, or even now for that matter.
Well, I'm trying. You know, like I'm trying to like I feel like I went through a few little toxic phases in my life, and I want to learn from that. You know, I have a lot of like feelings of like, I'm kind of like I'm giving myself the AA treatment about it, you know, like I'm like, I don't know how much damage I've done to myself and to others, but like, I'm like, I know I've surrounded myself with like enablers and crazies, and
I could really relate to you, Vov, because I'm in my late 30s now too. Yeah. And only just though, 36, guys. And yeah, I really also had this daydream or this dream of being known, being an artist, being worldly, everyone feeling about my art the way DJ Seith does.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? And then, yeah, the sacrifice of that pursuit, right? Because I had so much drive for that, and I know that you did too, and I'm sure we all have.
I'm so honored though to like give that up, you know, because it's a big thing, you know, and like, yeah, like I feel like I'm doing the right thing, you know. I'm about to fucking tear up, you know, like it's beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be at this stage in my life. Like I could have died like 5-6 different times, like on the way here.
Mm-hmm. It's good to reflect on that and to kind of really look back and realize, hey, look at all that I've gone through to get to where I am now, and how beautiful it's been, and how like the beauty, the ugly, the everything, that just how it's all kind of come together to make what it is that we have now. And yeah, I'm very, very in tune with what you're saying, and kind of reflective of that for sure. Constantly looking back, and just me and everybody that has been part of my life. And man, sorry.
Yeah, it's for real, man.
I kind of said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to cry this time, but yeah. Yeah, I guess just, going forward and putting that energy out, and being very happy to be able to, share it out, and, hope that it kind of resonates with somebody in whatever way that it kind of, how it changes when it goes into somebody and back out into the world. And, it's like this communication that we don't even really realize. You're putting something out, it goes into somebody and then out a different way, and it's totally different and amazing and weird and awesome. And yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like we're all communicating, no matter like what level we're on, or what language we speak, or like what personality that we have. Like when you use art, music, visual art, performance art, you're able to like share that and reshare that, right? So I liked earlier when everyone was talking about their creative processes, how they were like, it's from your influences, or it's from, a cut from as a DJ, a previous cut, or from your collage work, Chandra. It's like, and you're taking those influences and then you're putting it back out into the world. So it's kind of like an ancestral memory, like, so that your body just like naturally, goes to and vibes to, because where did that energy or that art has been recycled through, just humanity, or even just nature and the world around us for all these generations. And that's why it's speaking to us. And that's why we want to share that to the world. And it's a natural thing to want to, share that with others, and then have them reshare it, right? It's that universal language in that way. And that's why art and art history, and just, understanding those who came before us, and then also just using it and reusing it and kind of keeping it alive, right? Like I loved what Vov said about a legacy of love. Like, so we're keeping that alive when we choose to reshare our art, and even if it does come from a dark place, right? That's kind of where we were all kind of touching from, or if it comes from, a place of social activism, or whatever makes you, if it's cats, we've loved cats for a long time. There's a reason, there's an ancestral reason for that. So I really
think it's like an honesty and vulnerability, right, that helps people connect to art. Because when you produce something so connected to yourself, it lets people feel safe to do that too.
Yes.
Yeah. I always think about, the amount of love and the amount of vulnerability that goes into art, and some of the people that had influenced me when I was younger. I mean, I always go back to, like the Juice Crew, and like Biz Markie and Big Daddy Kane and all those guys. I mean, they weren't always that person that you see today. Like, oh, well, Biz Markie is like, you're saying Just a Friend and the Vapors, and he literally made a song about picking boogers. You know what I mean? Like, he was just totally like hard on his sleeve. You know what I mean? Like in this like world of like hard, the late 80s was definitely about like how hard of a rapper you can be, and how amazing, and like, how technically accurate, and how all this kind of stuff. And then you got Biz Markie over being the clown prince of rap, literally like singing about picking boogers and picking, like the Albee Square Mall, all those like early jams that were just like, man, this guy is like, you hear it through the music. Like, he is probably somebody that you would totally like, like burst out laughing in the same room with. Like, he will not let you stop laughing. You know what I mean? Like, and that is just so beautiful. And like, and everybody else that was part of like the movement, like the really good movement of rap music, that was just like, very interesting and nuanced, and very much a reflection of their community too, which I think everybody in this stream today too is very much a reflection of their community. We're kind of like carrying on that tradition, you know what I mean, of like taking what it is that's happening in our surroundings and bringing it out into beautiful art in our own ways. So thank you guys all for being here, and I guess we'll do closing thoughts now.
Yeah, was there anything anyone wanted to say? I know we have a pretty dope shout out that we wanted to highlight. If we could.
Hi. Hey guys, Steve here again. So I just wanted to mention I've been learning a little bit through social media, obviously, right? The more you interact with things, the more that you can pick up and learn, especially from communities that have been traditionally silenced, not have had access to outlets, right? One of the things I've come across is called Settler Saturday. So if you go on to Twitter and maybe IG, I don't know, but I know Twitter, and do hashtag Settler Saturday. In particular, there's a company who actually made this shirt called Two Sister Bears. So TWO Sister Bears. Now that's the name of the company. The Twitter individual I follow goes by Big Sister. I don't know her @handle, unfortunately, but we are going to put it in the show notes. I've sent it to DJ Seith. Yep. And if you go on Saturday, there's a call out basically for settlers to redistribute privilege, right? So I'm preaching to the choir a little bit here in terms of why we would do that. If anyone has any questions who's watching, by all means, reach out to somebody here. There's great voices. You guys have talked about it a lot in the podcast. I'd be happy to point people in right directions as well. But they have, first of all, Settler Saturday, which if you go through Twitter, you'll see people who are in need. So it's from Canada, the US, basically from historically disenfranchised communities who need assistance. So if you do $25, $30, $10, whatever it is, don't make yourself broke, you know what I mean? Because that's something that we all have to be aware of. But if we do have access to $25, $30 from the privilege that we have, the jobs that we have, the intergenerational wealth that we have access to, please give back. Also, this shirt is from Two Sister Bears, which this one shows uplift Indigenous voices. They have shirts for settlers like myself, and they also have shirts and mugs and stickers and all those sorts of things with a whole number of different positive messages. And you'd be supporting a very positive and ethical community, I suppose, or company that we're looking at there. So, and as I say, I'm preaching to the choir here. Please hashtag Settler Saturday, give a little bit. And if you have any questions as to the premise as to why settlers should give back, there's lots of information out there, and anyone here would be happy to pass that along to you guys. So thanks, guys. I hope that helps.
Awesome. Any other closing thoughts? I don't want to.
Yeah, I just have one thing really quick. I want to say that, being transgender, Shane was one of the first people that I felt comfortable coming out to because I knew he was supportive. But I think it's really important for people to remember, just as a message out there, that not all trans people have supportive people around, and especially Black trans people. So I just want to, say thank you to Shane for being supportive, but also to say to everyone, if anyone's watching, trans people are just like everybody else. We're just trying to live our lives. So, try and be supportive. That's it. Thank you.
It's been an honor to be on the show, and I'm sorry, Shane. I just wanted to say thank you so much. Yes, support your trans friends, family, and open your hearts. Come on. Mm-hmm. People are people trying to be people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on and come in.
Yeah. But it's such an honor to be on this panel or whatever with all of these artists, and to sort of hear how we all intersect, and it's really cool. So thank you guys for this opportunity to experience this.
Hey, you guys rock.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was nice. It was a nice way to spend the morning, and I'm doing the thing where I'm just but I'm sending love to all you guys. What else? Yeah, just love. You know, I got a YouTube that I'm working on. Like, you don't have to check it out. Like, I don't need to plug myself. Like, but like, it's Bad Apple Tree TV. I'm playing with toys right now. That's a thing. And I'm making a sci-fi horror with it. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I play with synths.
Yeah.
But yo, it's mostly about you guys. Everybody else, like I'm just sending out love. Like I'm don't worry about me, you know. Like cheers. Thank you guys for having me. And I'm all humbled and stuff. And I'm stoked about the small worldness of it all and how interconnected we all are.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. There's like history beyond just us like knowing each other as friends. There's something going on that's bigger than us.
Wow, you guys are stealing all the words right out of my mouth. I'm literally I was gonna be like, yeah, you know what? It's not about me. It's about everybody else. Oh, and he's like, yeah, there's definitely a connection going on here for sure. Yeah.
We're paving the way for online spaces too, right? Like, just being here and who we are and having these bold forefront conversations and not being able to say it or not being afraid to say it like it is, and having these, like, you know, fringe conversations that are like beyond your right-winged white male dominant conversation, like that we're able to, you know, speak as ourselves. Like, we're making a beautiful legacy, and you know, in years from now we'll be able to look back at these episodes and these videos and feel good about that and recreate this good memory. So I thank you all for that so much. I didn't mean to cut you off, Seith. Actually, I really did. I really had to say that part.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
Don't hold it in.
Now, as long as no one else has like something that they wanted to say.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys. This was a delightful, as was said, delightful way to spend the morning. So thanks again.
Well, thank you all for coming out, and yeah, we need to have more conversations like this. And Vov, I had no idea you were into Batsu. We got to talk. I love that show.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this like every single day I'm learning more and more about all the friends that are around me. I'm like, I had no idea. He likes that too. She likes this. Oh my God, we need to talk. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm into it.
All right, on.
I feel like we should do this again with these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
I'd be down too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's all do like the freeze.
Yeah. This is what you get at the Bender
Don't
house for
you?
spilling paint in the garage.
Yeah. That's right. You got it. All right. Well, I think that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. And this has been the CC Show. Oh, I got CC on the screen here. Let me switch this around here. Okay. And we will do like this. And okay. Yeah. Once again, this has been the CC Show. We will be back for our final episode of Season 1 in 2 weeks. On Saturdays at 10:30 we broadcast. So next Saturday we're going to be broadcasting a repeat of a previous episode, and then the Saturday after that, tune in for the season finale of Season 1 of the CC Show. So without further ado, my name has been and continues to be DJ Seith, and
with a mega mix. His cuts are excellent, the beat is fresher than peppermint. Some people lose their mind when he's on the wheels of steel. Iron Chef, moto, but on the phone, preparing meals. The two of us will get you real excited. Ain't in a rush, so you can trust. I bust a verse, feel like it. We're quite a combo, just the right cut, then switch it up and spit the live combo. We making rappers look like scrapbooks. We make MCs wanna have DJs and make songs using scratch hooks. Writing routines, but it ain't no thing. We're actually flattered. Check out the latest we bring. Rockin' on ages, on different stages. It's in Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Either or, like nothing you ever seen before. Keep the people steady, feeding for more. Ages, different stages. Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Either or, than you seen before. Keep the people steady.
What's your name?
Call me the L-double-E-C, Y to the T, a P-Y-T. Nobody cuts the beats like me. The L-double-E-C, Y to the T, a P-Y-T. Nobody cuts the beats like me. I practice day and night. Keep it dance floors crazy hype. Keep day and like hair and nails did and makeup is right. I'm like a ray of light shining on these dark ages. Smart and gracious, could cold rip apart stages. Born in Detroit, raised down in Virginia Beach with a passion for spinning beats, sweet like cinnamon and peach. My intrigue is speech, analog, digital treat. That's my jam. Make you get out your seats. As I increase the tempo, did you get the memo? The T is a problemo. Instrumental, so there's no apologies. I gotta be killing it from the get-go. I'm an anthology, and obviously you're still a demo. But then try on the backup, keeping the groove. Don't underestimate this duo. Don't sleep or press snooze. Rockin' on ages, on different stages. It's in Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Like nothing you ever seen before. Keep the people steady, feeding for more. Rockin' on ages, on different stages. It's in Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Like nothing you ever seen before. Keep the people steady, feeding for more. Get busy.
I love to rock the mic and sometimes even rock the week.
I'm not looking for any dap and I'm not looking for props. I'm just looking for a venue out in Brooklyn to rock. A place where all my peeps can come at night and play and
Yo, put me on the list plus two.
Quit with the foolish word to support. Stop always looking for a hookup and wonder why. When you wanna hang, it seems I'm booked. You get offended, deleted and blocked. I'm unbelievable. Pop, you see the scene. Not confidence, stay positive. Keep to my promises. And when you leave the premises, you're like Lacey be rocking it. And that's a compliment when they all cheer. I pay dues and carry crates way before Serato software. Rockin' on ages, on different stages. It's in Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Either or, like nothing you ever seen before. Keep the people steady, feeding for more. Rockin' on ages, on different stages. It's in Tron, Lazy T, we traded places. Either or, like nothing you ever seen before. Keep the people steady, feeding for more.